critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. It feels alright.
Good morning, folks. Eddie Howe's press conference review. Tottenham away this Sunday, and it's a 4:30 kickoff. As we all know, Eddie Howe has just done his press conference, and I'll try to cut the chaff out just so you know exactly what's been said. Razor from BBC Radio Newcastle asked about Joe Linton's injury. First off, he said that it was a knock on the side of the knee. It was an unusual injury, and Joe Linton is a mentally strong kind of player, so he knew there was an issue when he asked to come off at half time. But he says hopefully it is not too serious. But he does say that a couple of days after a match is when injuries start to show their true form. No more injuries and nothing too serious with anybody else, which is good news for the likes of Fabian Schär, who people were looking at thinking he could be, he could be injured. But no more injuries, nothing too serious. But he said he's having a look at the players today before he makes his final decision. Razor also asked him about ASM. He said ASM is making progress. However, he hasn't seen too much of him because ASM has been working with the physios, not really working with the first team itself. So ASM, I would imagine, is not going to be playing any part again at Spurs. I think we knew that already. Razor also asked him about the trip to Saudi. Eddie Howe said that it was a big benefit to Newcastle, a huge benefit. In fact, he said the weather was great, the facilities were great, and the bonding in the group was the main thing about going to Saudi last time. They are, at this moment in time, only going to play one game. That doesn't mean that there won't be another game set up, but yes, he is looking forward to it. Razor also touched on Sean Longstaff, the fact that he's played every game in recent weeks. And he said, Longstaff, I'm really pleased. He's a lovely lad. He says, when I came to the club, automatically, I could see he was a local lad, great character. And I love working with him, he said. He says he's improved a lot of the aspects of his game. He covers a lot of ground, and he's got a creative eye around the box. Razor pushed him on his best position. Is he better playing forward? Is he better sitting back? And I think the answer that Eddie gave is probably right. He said he can play both. I think Razor was pushing really with, the fact that there are midfield options. There are players coming back. We know Shelby's on his way back, featuring on the bench in the last couple of games. I think he was trying to push to see whether Longstaff might make way for one of these players returning. He's never going to say that, is he? But he said, yeah, he can play both roles. Razor then brought up the 5-1 defeat at Spurs last season. He said, look, it was a tough game, the second half in particular. He said, but we took a lot from that game, and it helped us massively for the run-in. So great stuff from Razor. Some great questions there. Keith Downey from Sky was next up. He started with questions about Steven Gerrard. He said he was disappointed for Steve. He's a good manager, and basically just said, look, football's a volatile game at times, and these things happen. And, you never know who's going to be next. It could be you. But he said he's sure that Steve will be back soon, and he did think of him last night. Wasn't much more from Downey. Andy Sixsmith, one of the up-and-coming journalists. I've known Andy for a long time. He asked about the flashpoint in the game against Everton when Anthony Gordon went down. Kieran Trippier went over, and then there was a mass argument between a lot of the players on the pitch. And he said, ultimately, unity is the key word, Eddie Howe said. He said, I thought it was a protective reaction. We had each other's backs. He said, but what was pleasing was that we were disciplined and we were emotionally level. And he said these things happen, essentially in games. Andy also asked him about turning things round, how it must feel, and how does it feel to him for turning things round in this last year, from being in a relegation battle as we were last time we went to Spurs to now going to Spurs in the top 6 and looking hopefully to progress. And he said, look, it's not easy, but, he asked him to put a finger on it. And he said, it's not easy, but lots of little things have been done at the club with the team, and they've been done well. to improve the margins. And again, he doesn't give too much away, Eddie, but he just gives you a really good soundbite. He was also asked about Miguel Almiron by Andy. He said, you know, he needs to just maintain this form by not overly thinking and analysing himself. And he's at his best when he covers every blade of grass. He said, he also asked him about the goals that he scores. And he says, I'm not expecting worldies every week. He said the tapping in Fulham was just as important as some of the worldies that he scored, you know. But he says he's got good balance. And he said the key to, you know, Miggy maintaining this form is just to keep enjoying his football. And I'm sure he will. And he was also asked about the confidence in the team since last season, just going back again to the Spurs game and the fact that we were, you know, beaten 5-1 down there last season. He said, look, we go there with a positive mindset. We're coming off the back of a successful 0-0 draw at Manchester United and a 1-0 win against Everton. We're going there in a successful way. I didn't catch the BBC reporter's name. It was a young lady. She was up next. Callum Wilson, after the game on Wednesday night, said that there is an aura around St James's Park these days. Eddie smirked a little bit. He said he wasn't sure it was an aura. He said, but it's a special feeling. He says, and those not playing at this moment in time, those who can't get in the squad, those who are on the bench, he said they are playing an equally important role to those on the pitch. He said, because they aren't walking around with, moping faces, etc. He says they're actually helping, so the key really, as we see from all these team photos, whenever Newcastle win, is, that atmosphere, in the squad. And it's definitely helping. He was asked about the chances of making some changes at the weekend. On Sunday, and he said, look, there could be some changes, but the team hasn't been chosen yet. They've got training straight after the press conference, so he will probably pick his team today. So there was no news on that. And again, you wouldn't expect any. Jordan Cronin, of course, been on this platform before from Newcastle World, asked about Dummett and Manquillo. He said both had picked up like little minor knocks in training, but they're both working their way back to fitness. Lee Ryder asked a couple of weird questions. I thought, Lee's a good lad as well. I've got, go back a long way with Lee. He said that, Conte and Spurs look dejected after the defeat against Manchester United. They've looked like that a lot this season. Eddie said, look, I'm not going into the game looking at things like that. He said, from my perspective, we go down there in a professional manner and we're ready for this game. This is a serious threat going to Tottenham, to this run. And we are focused and we're going to go in the right way. Again, you wouldn't expect anything different from Eddie and the boys. He was also asked about Spurs being the best ground by Lee Ryder. He said, would you say it's the best ground? And he sat back and went, well, I wouldn't say it's the best ground. And they got into a little chat about atmosphere. And I mean, Eddie just paused and said, look, I love our ground. And Eddie looked at Lee, and Lee basically just turned around and said, look, we have got the best atmosphere, Eddie. And there was laughter in the press room, but I'm not sure what angle Lee was coming at with that question. But yeah, look, it's a state of the art. It's a big stadium, etc., which is great. Simon, and I can only presume this was Simon Bird from the Mirror, asked 2 questions about Saudi. And I love the fact Eddie doesn't get drawn into this rubbish. I really do. He was asked about Saudi bidding for the World Cup. And do you think it would be a good place to have the World Cup? Because he's experienced the facilities out there. You can see how a question like that is leading, and it's going to be turned into a soundbite. And Eddie Howe is just too clever for this lot to get sucked into that. He follows it up with a question about, will you and the team be going out there and doing any promotion on the tour? And he did say, for the football club, offer the government, offer the country, I think he said. I can't remember exactly why, so don't quote us on that. But again, Eddie Howe said, I've got no idea on that. So I thought brilliant, Eddie. He just didn't get sucked in, and I just loved that. And I'm not saying Simon was doing it in a malicious way, and he could have put a story out and it could have been positive. But it's the negative ninnies who are involved in anti-Saudi agenda against Newcastle would have picked up on that and used it against him. Well done, Eddie. Avoided that potential banana skin again. Kieran, I think it's Kieran from the Chronicle, just asking about Spurs again and the opponent. And he just said, look, it's going to be tough. They are a tough opponent, and from his point of view, he is taking this game seriously. He was asked again by Kieran about the comments by Dan Ashworth about spending £200 million not being sustainable, and Eddie agreed. He just said, look, spending £200 million in the transfer window is not sustainable. And we have to be mindful of financial fair play. But he did say, can we improve everything? Off the pitch, that's what we have to look at. Yes, developing players, bringing in local talent. So, yeah, he just said, he was also asked, do you think fans have got an understanding of that? And he says the fans have a level of understanding. And he said, look, Dan Ashford made that comment, and he's where I get my information. So, look, I don't think any of us are expecting Newcastle to spend £200 million in every transfer window. It's impossible to do with financial fair play anyway. We know what's happening behind the scenes is positive. We know we're in a great position. Sometimes, I know you've got to ask those questions as a journalist at times, but look, and you've got to find a different question to answer to get your soundbite, I guess. But yeah, again, just sensible answer to not a sensible question in my view. Anyway, he was asked about Shelvey by Kieran, which was a good question. He said Shelvey's not involved as somebody to start in the game. Sorry, he's involved in the squad, but he's not ready to start the game. That's what he said about that. He was asked about Willock as well, who's had a bit of illness, although he did feature against Everton. Says he's still a bit under the weather, but we're hoping that he's going to be okay. On that road to recover by the weekend. Finally, he was asked about the photo that's been doing the rounds on social media of the defence, Nick Pope and all the lads. And he just said, look, he said, that photograph, it's such a nice moment to capture. And he says, you want that feeling as a player. He says, because, it captures a moment where you're sharing success with the players around you when you've done a job well against a tough opponent. And that was, a great way to finish the press conference. I've got to be honest, I love them. Not as much as the games, but I love them. And, I just thought Eddie, again, just to handle that so well. Okay, that's it in a nutshell from me. And I will be back tonight with the three amigos. I'll play out with the ads now. Take care, people. See you at 6 o'clock tonight, 6 till 8.
A big thanks to our sponsors, Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals, based on Old Durham Road in Gateshead. Their phone number is 0191 478 2730. You can email Darren at darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk or go to the website darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Thanks to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD, hemp and cannabinoid specialists based on Nunn Street. The GOHD.com is their website. And thanks again to 3 Property Investments, who specialise in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the North East. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give them a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeast property and phil.reed_northeast property, or email phil@3property.co.uk if you're interested in getting a good property deal. Thanks to the lads at Mr. Vicky's Handmade in Cumbria. These are hot sauces and you can find them at mrvickys.co.uk or place an order by ringing 01768 210 102. Thanks also to the lads at Blowhole Brewery, a fine amount of ales available from their website, www.blowholebrewery.co.uk. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video technology. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com. If you want to subscribe, hit the badge in the corner and you can subscribe for free. Still do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up to like the video and click share to share to your social media. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify and the rest. And if you want to become a member, click join underneath this video, or you can put your smartphone over the QR code. It will take you to the membership section of the website. If you choose to go that way, then you will get a pen, a cup, a scarf and a membership card and entry into the monthly draw for a one-off payment of £25. We also give you something for free. If you want a car window sticker, email john@nufcmatters.com and he will send you one if you are a subscriber. We also help the food bank on here. NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk is the match day bucket. If you go there, you can make a virtual donation at any time of the year. And don't forget, Peter Beardsley Soccer School, October half term, Monday the 24th to Friday the 28th of October. You can book now, peterbeardsley.soccerschool.co.uk. NUFC.com. Peter's also running Monday night training on the 26th of October. Again, the same website. And if you want to meet Peter Beardsley, well, you've got 3 chances. Newcastle Legends game, Friday, October the 14th. The Peter Beardsley talk-in is taking place after the game. Tickets for this are available from NUFCmatters.com. Adult admission is £5. Junior admission is £2. The talk-in is adults only, and that is a £10. And the events are all taking place at the Fox Hunters Pavilion in North Shields. We've got Peter Beardsley available, tickets available for the St Dom's Catholic Club show. You need to go straight to their website and you just buy your tickets there. And for this one at the Irish Centre, tickets are available now on NUFCmatters.com. Don't forget, Supermax at the Dog and Parrot, every pre-match and every post-match, every home game. And John Gibson and John Anderson are at Pumphrey's pre-match only. If you did like our true crime stuff, it has all migrated to the True Crime channel. So get yourself across there on YouTube and subscribe today.